So, welcome back to Pon's Tinkering Garage. And today, I'm not going to share the usual useful stuff that I put on normally on my YouTube channel. But today, I'm just going to talk. I just want to chat about an experience that I have just gotten very recently, and yeah, I'm just gonna do a bit of talking, a bit of chatting about the thing. And of course, I mean, like you might have guessed from the title what actually happened, but I'm just gonna make it. Uh, I'm just gonna walk you through it. So yeah, this happened yesterday in the middle of the night. As you can see, that this is 27 April 2024. Uh, right in the middle of the night, and I got this email from YouTube, and that basically said YouTube removed your content. And of course, at the first time I saw this, I have this kind of a oh, that's the first time, right? It's basically I have this kind of a knee jerk response for that, and I opened the email, and then I read about it's about sex and nudity policy, right? It's got to be a warning about sex and nudity. And, at the back of my mind at yesterday, I know that I got it coming because, I mean, like, if you have watched my videos on my channel for some time, or in fact, since the beginning, you will know that uh, my videos are basically littered with you know nude stuff, right? I mean, like just very recently, a Taylor's approach to cloth sewing stream number two. I remember clearly that I have this bit going on. You can see that its genitalia is showing off, and this one again, its nipples showing off. This same thing, nipples. So it's gonna be. It's not just nipples. This one is just full nude body, and this one is also nudity. And even in the first series of the channel, Taylor's approach to cloth sewing. I mean, like that is a nude 3D model. And of course, I know that the thing that I'm showing to you, I mean, like I always know that it falls into the category of educational and artistic purposes, which are kind of the exception to the sexual and nudity clause. I mean, like if you read it to YouTube content policy, nudity and sexual content policy, you would see that there is an exception for educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic purposes. And I always know that my content always fall under both educational and also artistic. But I also know that I'm kind of walking on a thin ice, and I really understand that if they kind of change their mind. But, and then I read the email again, and then I just realized that they didn't remove my videos, any one of my videos. Now that now that I think now that I think of it, I mean, like I'm basically just I'm kind of surrendering my crime to YouTube about sexual and nudity clause, basically, right? So, yeah, okay, that happened, and by the way, so the thing that they're making problem with is not those videos, but about a link, right? And that link is linked to this Grafit school Gumroad, right? I mean, like if you have watched my anatomical approach to human body topology, I made a video about specifically for reference. In there, you can watch the whole 19-20 minutes thing, how I talked about the importance of using reference, especially artists' reference when it comes to, if you want to be an artist, it's very important for you to use reference. And basically, you can watch the whole thing, and that, and they made a problem with the link that I showed, which as you can see here, that they have hidden this link. So yeah, I mean, like I basically share this thing, the Grafit Studio. Actually, the name of it is actually Grafit Studio, but they are under the name Grafit School for the Gumroad, and I share about them and their work, the incredible work that I personally use as the basis of this video and the whole series, right? And yeah, I mean, like you can still go here. I mean, like this is the link, right? So this is the thing that I'm using, and then if you this is Gravit Studio, by the way, and of course, I mean, like now that you see it, actually Gravit Studio does provide nude reference images, right? This is nudity. Uh, that one is nudity. That one is nudity, 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 and basically they make a lot of nude stuff because, well, they are artist reference studio, so they make reference for artists. So it's kind of essential for them to make nude stuff, right? And yeah, that I shared about them, the Gravit Studio, on my channel, both in writing and also I also spell it out in the entire video about Gravit Studio, and yeah, they make a problem with that. And then of course, I mean, like after I read this, I mean, like I thought that's silly because, well, why? Because Graphic Studio, just like my videos, they fall under the category of educational and artistic purposes, which should be an exception to sexual and nudity clause. So I thought that's ridiculous. I think it's kind of misjudged uh, wording, and I appeal it, and then some hours later, I got so basically it's just it took them around 11 hours, and they came back with a decision that they have rejected my appeal, basically. So that means that that link is still hidden, basically. And of course, I mean, like at the time, of course, when I read this, I feel a bit bad about it because, well, why? Because Graphic Studio, I mean, like that, they provide a top quality artist reference, basically, and it's just kind of sad that YouTube, for some reason, find offense for them under their sex and nudity and sexual policy. And then I wrote, of course, I thought about a response to them banning the link, and then just this morning I just realized that when I opened back my video description, I just realized that they kind of they have hidden this link, grafitschool.gumroad.com, but they didn't prohibit that bit. They prohibit that bit, but not that bit. Because this thing, I mean, like, they will link to this, which is completely not nude reference pack, right? And that just that feels weird because people can easily go here and then open that, and then they will find this. I mean, like, that's kind of a silly decision for them to kind of ban this link, but not that one, right? And yeah, now that, of course, I mean, at first I feel kind of sad about it, but now that I just feel silly because I mean, like, of course, I mean, like, you want to make, an offense against Grafit Studio in general because they're offering new reference packs, but you don't take an offense on them sharing non-nudity reference packs. I mean, like, that's kind of good when you come to think of it, but you can easily do that and you will find that. I mean, like, that's kind of silly, isn't it? I mean, like, it's not gonna. It doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. I mean, like, they found this, and then, oh, let's check out what other things that this place Graphic Studio make, and they just figured out they make nude stuff as well. I mean, like, that is kind of a straightforward way of thinking. So yeah, I'm not really sure though. I mean, about what they're trying to achieve. I mean, like, that is really silly decision, really. And yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, I also want to make a case against that. I mean, like, just imagine that. Just imagine that if I make a thesis or a review for a book, right, and then I do not include this resource where I got the book from, and then people ask, where do you get the book that you're reviewing? And then I said, well, I cannot share that information. And then why? Well, because the bookstore that I bought the book from sells Playboy magazine. I mean, like, that is silly, isn't it? I mean, like, just because the marketplace that sells me the resources sell things that fall under the sexual and nudity thing doesn't mean that I cannot share them, right? I mean, like, that's kind of silly. Uh, and also, I mean, like, as an addition, they're not. Of course, I mean, this is definitely different than Playboy magazines. I mean, like, this is completely different because this is artistic and educational platform. So that's make it even worse comparison. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, the other case against the YouTube guideline is that I always think that YouTube is like a country on itself, right? I mean, like, YouTube doesn't bow down to any country's law. Basically, I mean, like, they are basically like the embassy or the Vatican, really. I mean, like, they don't. I mean, like, if you're they kind of allow contents that your country may not. I mean, like, for example, I mean, like, if you live in, I don't know, some very restrictive country where for example, women should wear a certain garment, uh, YouTube will not bow down to that law that of your country. They will keep running as they are, and yeah, I mean, like, that's a great thing about YouTube is that they do not bow down to any country's law, and that makes it, that makes YouTube kind of a more liberal than most countries on earth, because they allow things more than a country does, basically. And that's great, because that, I mean, like, YouTube become kind of the beacon of information sharing, basically. Because, I mean, like, if you're a radio or a television channel, of course, I mean, like, both entities fall. I mean, like, they are kind of restricted by the nation or a country's law. So they will have to kind of bow down to the law of what they can or and they cannot share on their platform. Meanwhile, YouTube doesn't have that concern, and that's great. I mean, like, when YouTube allows more content than a country does, that's great. But that's that become that becomes kind of sad when YouTube allows less than a country does. So, that I am, I mean, like, if you have been watching my channel, you know that I'm Indonesian. I live in Indonesia, and Indonesia is not liberal nor it is conservative. Indonesia is kind of a country where they're kind of in the middle, and they kind of try to balance between the left and the right. And Indonesia is a country that they have this kind of very they took a bit of stance on. I mean, like, they, for example, I mean, like, they even, I mean, like, if you go to something like Reddit, for example. But by the way, I'm not using any VPN. So this is basically Indonesia's thing without VPN, right? So even, I mean, like, at the first glance, I mean, I got blocked by Bitdefender, right? For if I open Reddit, and I even got protected by Bitdefender, and because even if I force my way to go through it, let's go yes, they will come to this thing. And because if you go to advanced, you will know that the site is blocked by Internet by Telkomsel, which is kind of the the censorship thing happened in Indonesia. In Indonesia, I cannot open Reddit. I cannot even open Vimeo for that matter. I mean, like, I can go Vimeo. That exactly happened. Of course, I mean, like, if you go to any pornographic sites, I will not be able to do that. I mean, like, I don't have to name names. I mean, like, if I open that, I mean, like, first of course, the Bitdefender will prevent me to do that. If I proceed through even that, I will get that same thing. I mean, like, Internet Cepat by Telkomsel, censorship. Sure, I got it. And yeah, that things are prohibited. Vimeo is prohibited. Reddit is prohibited. And so, I mean, like, Indonesia is kind of, when it comes to media, to internet in general, I mean, like, they kind of a bit more on the conservative side, basically. So, I mean, like, but the thing is, I mean, like, if I open Grafit Studio on Gumroad, as you have seen that I do, I mean, like, that is kind of allowed. This website is not prohibited by Indonesia. So the fact that YouTube kind of prohibit that means that YouTube allows less access to something than a country like Indonesia does. That is kind of sad, because, I mean, imagine that YouTube as an entity, a company, a conglomerate for that matter, that is based on a first world country, they kind of allows less than a country such as Indonesia, which is basically a third world country. uh I mean, like that. I mean, like that's kind of sad, really. I mean, like I don't know. I don't know what happens, and I'm not really sure how does it look. I mean, like how does it reflect YouTube, the integrity of YouTube guideline for that matter. I mean, like I'm not really sure. I mean, like that's not for me to answer. It's basically for YouTube to decide. And the thing is, I'm happy with YouTube. I admire YouTube as a platform because they, as I mentioned, I mean, like they are the beacon of information, and I praise them for that. But this thing makes me kind of wonder, what does it what does it reflect to YouTube's great policy. And and yeah, I mean, like that's what I think. And yeah, I guess that's it, I guess. I mean, like that's uh yeah, I mean, like I really, yeah, of course. I mean, like I kind of respect YouTube's decision for that, because YouTube. I mean, like this is your platform. This is their platform. This is their home. I mean, like they make the laws for themselves. Of course, I'm not gonna be the guy who try to get in and then try to force my way to kind of talk my way through it, to ask YouTube to do things that I want. Of course, I mean, like this is their home. It is their law, and I'm not there to tell them what to do, basically, because the thing is, I don't want people to come into my home and then let strangers and people tell me what to do in my own home. Of course, that is pretty the principle here, but it's just make a good thought experiment about does it make how does it make how does it make YouTube's guideline look. How the integrity of YouTube's guideline look, and what it means for people, basically. So so yeah, I guess that's it for now. I mean, that's a piece of thought and to think about. And yeah, I guess that's it, and I'll see you later.